There is a place in Alaska that must be on every traveler's bucket list. A place where adventure, nature, science, and a little bit of risk all weave together into a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
That was one of the coolest things I have ever done.
This is Matanuska Glacier, as we've never seen it before. We're taking the tour to walk on and into the glacier itself, learning from our guide and witnessing extraordinary natural features along the way. This is one of those few Alaskan tours that operate year-round, and we're taking you with us to learn all about it. Come see what it's like to venture inside a glacier, experience natural history literally at your fingertips, and leave in awe of one of planet Earth's most powerful forces. Today, we are finally going to tour Matanuska Glacier and touch the ice itself. Excitement is an understatement. The journey begins at a quaint Airbnb 10 minutes up the road from the glacier. There's nothing like cozying up in a log cabin surrounded by deep snow and rugged mountains. There's also nothing like driving Alaskan highways in the winter. This is the Glen Highway, one of our favorite roads in all of Alaska. It snakes along the edge of the Matanuska Valley, which was itself carved by the glacier that shares its name. Matanuska is America's largest glacier accessible by car. There are two ways to do the glacier tour. You can drive yourself there, or you can go with a shuttle tour from Anchorage. The drive from Anchorage to the glacier is 2 hours and incredibly scenic. If winter driving makes you nervous, the shuttle tour is the way to go. And even if it's summer, it's nice to just sit back and enjoy the scenery. The drive to the glacier is an experience in and of itself, especially in the winter. If you elect to drive to the glacier yourself, definitely opt in for studded snow tires. You're about to see why.
Not yet.
I'm behind the car. Okay, vámonos.
Right there was a good case in point for going with the shuttle tour. Even with our good snow tires, we got stuck. That's the shuttle there. If you want their info, we have a link to their tour in the video description below. Thank you. Ooh. These are called microspikes. They are super important for traction when walking on ice. These are a must for visiting wintertime Alaska. Kindly, the company provides them for tour goers.
Nick will be right up here.
Thank you.
Yes.
The end of a glacier is called a terminus or toe. The toe of Matanuska Glacier is about a half mile from the warming hut, so to maximize our time at the glacier, we get a modern-day sleigh ride. If you do this tour in the summertime, you will actually hike from here to the toe of the glacier with your guide. The hike is 2 miles round trip and it takes about 2 to 3 hours to complete, including your time on the glacier itself. And off we go. So let's orient ourselves here. First of all, where in Alaska are we? Here is the great state of Alaska, and here is Matanuska Glacier. It is an astounding 24 miles long and averages 2 miles wide. It begins high up in the Chugach Mountains at an elevation of just over 13,000 feet. Gravity pulls the glacier downhill until its terminus at 1,500 feet. That's where we are now. By the way, in Alaska, these are called snow machines, not snowmobiles. It took a little getting used to for this Wisconsin girl and Nicaraguan boy, but now it's part of our lingo.
Right now we're on the Matanuska River, and underneath us there's 50 million gallons of water an hour flowing, which means there's cracks all over underneath this snow that we can't see. That's why it's so important to stay on the trail. If you go off the trail, go into this fresh snow, and you fall through the ice and the water takes you that way, I can't come get you, okay? It's just that simple. So on the trail is the most important thing.
You heard him. On this tour, the most important thing is listening to your guide and staying on the trail.
During the summertime, when all this ice is melting, it drills down sometimes underneath the glacier, and it makes these tunnels like we have here. This is called a moulin. A moulin is just a hole in the ice. It's an ice cave, right? It's a hole in the ice made by water in the summer. This thing was carved out over the course of last fall, and it'll collapse probably early to midsummer.
Jeffrey, did you feel it? Do you notice how it doesn't leave you feeling wet?
Your hands are dry.
Your hands are dry. Cool.
We are joined in this adventure by family. Jose's cousin Jeffrey is here all the way from North Carolina.
You ready?
Stand up here, right?
Go, Jeffrey!
Make sure you're just standing right here towards the edge of this cave. Let's not move too far.
Okay, my turn. I'm bulky right now. There we go.
I survived.
Take that for you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Moulin means mill in French. This name speaks to the power of meltwater and its role in not only the internal structure of a glacier, but also its movement. More on that in a bit.
This is a crevasse. A crevasse is just a crack in the ice made by pressure. A lot of times crevasses come together like that. When you go down into one of these things, you get stuck there and your body heat takes you down deeper until you can't breathe. About 15 minutes, that's all it takes. So make sure you're staying right on the trail. That's really important.
If you didn't catch that, our guide was explaining that there are crevasses hidden under the snow that we can't see. What is a crevasse, you might ask? These are crevasses, large fractures in the upper region of a glacier caused by the stress of its movement. And how does a glacier move? How does solid ice flow like a river? Glaciers form when large amounts of snow fall high in the mountains in what's called the accumulation zone. Over time, all that snow compresses into ice. Ice may be solid, but under enough pressure, movement will occur within and between individual ice crystals, causing the ice to behave more like a plastic than a rigid solid. It deforms instead of breaks. This is called creep. Ice creeps in response to stress, but if it cannot creep fast enough to cope with all that stress, it fractures. We see this brittle failure as crevasses on the glacier's surface. Internal deformation is the term used to describe the combination of creep and faulting. Internal deformation is the one common way all glaciers flow down slope. There are two other mechanisms that cause glaciers to flow, and we will come back to that. But now let's return to our surreal walk among the crevasses of Matanuska Glacier.
Oh, it's in the shape of a heart. That's adorable. Aw.
It's so hard to capture footage of places like this. You know, you do your very best, but there's nothing the same as actually being here. It's one of the things we struggle with creating videos, trying to communicate these things that are hard to communicate with just footage.
It's really special.
We now come out onto an open area that in the summertime is a deep lake. It is a special treat for us winter goers to make it to this vantage point, for standing here gives the unmistakable impression of being surrounded by an amphitheater of ice.
We really are only seeing like a third of the ice. Here there's like 2/3 of it is below and going down, and there's just, it's like they say, the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more going on here than we can even see.
These jagged mountain-like blocks of ice are called seracs. They often form where two or more crevasses intersect one another, creating large blocks that stand tall. In truth, they are awe-inspiring to look at. Now, if only we could climb up there and see what it's like to stand right next to them. Matanuska flows at a rate of 1 foot per day. The ice we are walking on now fell as snow hundreds of years ago, high in the Chugach Mountains. It's fascinating to think about as we climb up into a maze of seracs. They tower overhead like sculptures, and really, that's what they are. The warmer months will see these structures melt into even more bizarre shapes, collapsing, shifting, and changing as the glacier grinds forward in a constant battle between growth and melt. Matanuska Glacier may progress forward 365 feet per year, but it loses 396 feet due to melt. So overall, the toe loses 30 feet of ground every year. This tour is about 2 hours long. We're only a half an hour in and already our minds are blown. If only we knew what lies ahead.
Nice.
We love that the tour groups are small, so there's plenty of time to talk and ask our guide questions. There are private tours for those who want even more one-on-one time, though. And hey, quick note, in Alaska, it's customary to tip your guide at least $20 per person, so don't forget that.
What do you think?
So smooth.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Every now and then we are reminded that we are walking over hundreds of feet of ice, and that in a very real way, we are just seeing the tip of the iceberg. You may wonder what could possibly cause enough snowfall to fuel such a massive amount of ice. Matanuska is born deep in the Chugach Mountains, which stand like a massive wall between the Pacific Ocean and interior Alaska. Moisture-laden storms off the Pacific hit these mountains and unload some of the highest snowfall rates in the world. That is why we see such colossal rivers of ice snaking out of this range, and one of the most prominent is Matanuska. Now, as a bit of a geology nerd, I've been expecting seracs and crevasses and all things glacier on this tour. There's one thing I'm not expecting.
Oh my god, you guys! You did. You know, it's funny. It's good.
It's on film.
It is. It's going into YouTube video, man.
If we were walking this same path 20 years ago, we would actually have ice above our heads. This is one of the most important things to understand about Matanuska Glacier. It has lost quite a bit of ice, but it hasn't necessarily been in a dramatic retreat of the toe like Exit Glacier or Valdez Glacier. Check out episodes 21 and 24 if you want to learn more about those cases. In this case, Matanuska has lost a lot of vertical ground. The lower section of the glacier used to be thicker than it is today, reaching higher up the sides of the mountains. Like the draining of a bathtub, the surface of the lower glacier is now losing ice at a rate of about 1 foot per year.
So there was a cold snap this winter. In Seward, we got about -10. Here, the guide said that they got about -50. And not just that, there were 70-mile-an-hour winds coming out of the Chugach Mountains, which I can't even imagine. 50 below, 70-mile-an-hour winds? No, not for me. That's beyond me. No way, Jose. It's a glacial traffic jam.
Yep.
Now, we are about to witness a glacial feature that we never expected to see, and honestly, has me giddy. Fans of this series, get ready for an aha moment. As we look up at these seracs, I want you to take special note of the light milky blue color of this ice. Have you noticed that sometimes the ice looks clean and sometimes it looks dirty? We're about to find out why. Now this, for me, is like meeting a rock star of the geology world. Throughout Season 1, we've talked about why glacially fed rivers and lakes have a milky baby blue color. You may think, aha, it's because of this ice. No, it's because of this ice. This is basal ice, as in ice from the base of the glacier, and it is packed with sediments. As glaciers flow downhill, they act like a giant mill, picking up and pulverizing rock along the way. Some rock is ground up so fine we call it rock flour. When it melts out of the glacier and enters downstream rivers and lakes, the particles remain suspended in the water, absorbing the shortest wavelengths of light. The water absorbs the longer wavelengths, leaving only blues and greens to be perceived by our eyes.
This is a really awesome example of glacial rock flour in the making. Check that out. That is so cool.
Here we are seeing with our own eyes how rock flour is made. Basal ice is mesmerizing to look at. Not only is it just physically beautiful, it shows us in vivid detail how ice flows rather than breaks under pressure. Personally, I could spend all day marveling at this ice, imagining its life at the base of the glacier, squeezing, bending, twisting along under insurmountable pressure in a slow motion slide over the underlying bedrock. And that brings us back to the question of how glaciers move. As you'll remember, all glaciers flow via internal deformation. Some also flow via basal sliding, as the glacier slides over the underlying bedrock, lubricated by rock flour-rich meltwater. Some glaciers also flow via subglacial deformation, where the sediments below the glacier deform and flow as well, acting almost as a conveyor belt for the overlying ice. Again, all glaciers flow via internal deformation. Some may also flow via basal sliding or subglacial deformation, and some may exhibit all three mechanisms, often resulting in fast ice flow. Well, for the geology nerds, that was a slam dunk. But the tour now has a special treat for the adventure junkies in us. have been through ice caves on this tour, but never anything this tight. Wait for it. Knowing how glaciers move and shift, this makes me a little nervous. Many in our group choose to skip this part altogether because it is unnerving. It's also a rush.
That's pretty cool.
That was one of the coolest things I have ever done.
The tour is almost done, but there are just a few treats left in store. It seems they planned this trail so that the tour goes out with a bang. So far, we have been walking on packed snow, but see that streak of blue down there? That is smooth, bare ice, part of the lake and river that flows off the glacier in the summer. As a special treat for us winter goers, we get to go out on it.
That is super cool.
Fast, get low, and slide. Use your hands. Don't like belly flop, you know?
Do it.
Come on, Connor. Get us on board.
Our guide makes sure we don't get too close because, as you can see, a piece of this block could break away at any moment.
Awa! Holy cow!
Yeah, this fell last night.
Last night!
Probably, maybe today. It wasn't here yesterday at 4 o'clock.
Woo! Wow. He said this wasn't here yesterday at 4. So this happened last night or sometime today. That's crazy. Wow. Glaciers, man. You don't mess with them. As I say that as I walk over an air bubble. Wow. Holy cow.
It's a parting gift from the glacier, just a little symbolic reminder that while we may not perceive its motion, this is a dynamic, active part of the landscape that we are lucky to visit.
Well, we can firmly say that if you are ever in Alaska in the winter, come to see Matanuska Glacier. And if you're here in the summer, come to see Matanuska Glacier. And if you're here any season, they do this year round. Come out here. You have to come out here. This is pretty spectacular experience, and not a lot of places around the world you can actually do something like this. So, counting blessings over here today.
We head back to the warming hut, again pinching ourselves that we just had this experience. Planet Earth is filled with wonders, and glaciers are certainly one of them. They shape the land, store fresh water, and teach us about the past. As our parting gift to you, would you like to see what Matanuska looks like in the warmer seasons? And speaking of seasons, fast forward 1 month and we are cranking on our bobby bus.
Oh, there it goes, there it goes, there it goes. He's out. He's out. Okay.
Even though snow is still on the ground, the change of season is all around us, and we are hitting the road to take you on just a few more Alaskan adventures before we begin the long journey to Argentina. As the world begins to wake up all around us, this seems the fitting moment to finally share a song that has been a long time in the works. Filmed across 2 years, 2 countries, and 4 seasons, we cannot wait to share this tune with you next time on Art We There Yet? Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a like.
Subscribe to our channel.
Send us a comment below, and for exclusive content and a behind the scenes view of the Art We There Yet journey,
Join us on Patreon.
see you over on Patreon.